All right, perfect. So it looks like we're recording. Hello, everyone. My name is Christiane. Welcome back to another pre-law shadower session. I am so excited to have Sahar on here to talk a little bit about her journey into the legal field and her career. So just before we start, I'll quickly introduce myself. Once again, my name is Christiane, and I am in fourth year of undergrad. I currently study at the University of Toronto, and I'm doing a major in political science with aspirations of going into law school, hopefully. So we'll see where that takes me. But without further ado, I'll just pass the mic on to Sahar to briefly introduce herself.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Christiane. I'm really excited to be here because I do like to share my experience with fellow soon-to-be lawyers because I've been in your shoes before. So thank you for having me. And so my name is Sahar Zomorodi. I operate my own law practice, which I started in 2013, literally 5 days after my call to the bar, and been practicing in Richmond Hill ever since. I guess I'd call myself a general practitioner. I focus in a variety of areas of law, some of which include real estate, commercial, transactional work, and corporate wills and estates, and selective lease and litigation. So I open the floor to you to ask me any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them.
For sure. So I guess my first question is, at what point in your life did you decide that you wanted to pursue a legal career? Like, is there any experience that you had that kind of sparked your interest? Is it something that you always, knew you wanted to go into in undergrad? Did you look at, like, what did you exactly study in undergrad? Was it connected to law? Why did you go into law?
But sure, I mean, I can relate to that. I guess coming from a Middle Eastern background yourself, you might be able to relate. Going into law or medicine is sort of embedded in our culture, and that is kind of what was ingrained in my mind. And then coming from a family of a lot of lawyers, I was sort of raised with that mindset. But going into university, I actually was opposed to getting into law because I studied criminology. And with the study of criminology, you are really taught to be critical, a critical thinker, and be critical of the system and how it works and how it's set up. So having studied that, I didn't want to really become a lawyer because I imagine that you have to work within the system that we were taught to be so critical of. And so I didn't know what I wanted to do. I graduated, I worked a couple years, and I was progressing in that job that I was working in, but I didn't see myself making that a career. I didn't see any career opportunities. So after being a couple years out of university, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and that's okay. A lot of people will not know, and that's fine. But you'll always have the pressure of being asked immediately on the day that you graduate, what are you going to do next? So don't worry, you're not alone if you're not certain, and if you're not certain that law is your path. It's okay. Let it come to you as it came to me. Eventually, I thought, well, I need to do something postgraduate in order to be able to narrow down my academic experience and to get a job in an area that's more specialized. And in order to do that, I had to go to postgraduate school. So I decided, let me give law school a shot. And of course, I gave priority to Canadian law schools. I dedicated about a year's time to study for the LSAT and to prepare my application for law school. This is over maybe 13 years ago now, so forgive me, I'm trying to recall my memories.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it is still pretty fresh in my mind because it was part of my journey. And so I I studied for the LSAT. I wrote the LSAT, and I'm okay to admit I did not pass. Because it's based on a curve. So that year, the curve was much higher into the schools I
Yeah.
wanted to get into. So I wasn't able to get in. And therefore, I had to explore other options because I had already put everything on the line.
Mm-hmm.
I had quit a very good job that I had in a good position, and I had dedicated my time to getting into law school, so I couldn't give up at that point. And I encourage other students not to give up and not to limit themselves to just trying to get into law school in whether you're in Ontario or whatever province you're in, or within Canada only. You can broaden your horizons to the UK or Australia, which are excellent places to get a good foundation in law. And that UK is where the common law began. So I thought that would be the best place to go. So I applied. I had somebody who had set up an organization. They were called Canada Law from Abroad. I'm sure they're still around. A gentleman by the name of John Kelly. He assisted me very much in applying to certain schools and getting admissions, and then it was just a matter of deciding where to go. And so I embarked on my journey in law school in the UK.
That's awesome. I'm just gonna pin you because I realized I forgot to do that. But yeah, I totally agree with you about not wanting to go to law in the first place. In political science, and we do learn a little bits of criminology here and there as well. And there's so much flaws in the criminal justice system, or the justice system in general, and law. So I'm super pessimistic when it comes to it. And I'm like, well, do I really want to be involved in that kind of system? But I do also come from a Middle Eastern family. And yeah, it's either really just a doctor or a lawyer. So I totally get that. Yeah, so you did say that you went to law school in the UK. And I did hear, I guess you would maybe say, misconceptions that if you do go to law school in the UK, it'll be really hard to find, a law career when you come back to Canada. So is that, I mean, I'm assuming it's a misconception. Do you know why they say that?
Yeah, okay. So I'll touch upon that. I do want to make one point about what I said before and what you just commented on about being pessimistic about the system and whatnot. Ultimately, I realized that in order to make any kind of change, you have to work within the system, right? So you can work within the system to do better, to make maybe some, even a minuscule change or a change in someone's life. You get to decide how you run your practice, whether you're employed or you're on your own. You always have that autonomy to decide what kind of person, what kind of lawyer you're going to be. So please always remember that as you go through your career, because you could always make a change. Yeah. And then, right, so about making the transition back to Canada, agreed, especially when I went, it was not readily accepted. Foreign trained lawyers were treated as, maybe I don't know if I should use it, maybe second tier, but I strongly disagree with that conception because, like I said, the precedents that you are taught, even here in Canada, do stem from the United Kingdom, and that's where it was all founded. So going to the homeland of where our system started was a great experience. And then also the international experience in and of itself teaches you a lot about being an independent person, and just growing into your own. So that when you come back, you've not only been trained academically, but you've also learned a lot of life skills that you can carry over here. I don't know that you would necessarily get that with going to school here, especially if you're still living at home and going to school. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever, but I think that your experience is fully enhanced when you do go abroad. And then returning, yes, it was very difficult. I interviewed with a lot of firms, and at the time, we were not, again, like I said, readily accepted. And so we had a lot more to prove. I think today times have changed because since I went to school, so I went to the UK in 2008, I graduated in 2010, and I was called to the bar in Ontario in 2013. So there was a gap that I had to bridge when I was coming back. I had to get experience here. I had to do the National Committee of Accreditation. I had to write those exams to get my certification, and I had to write the bar, and I had to also get employed somewhere. So it took a lot, but ultimately hopefully you will find the right person at the right time to give you that opportunity. And I am hopeful that a lot more practitioners are opening up the doors for foreign trained students and hiring them, because they're just as valuable as students that are trained here. But anyway, nothing comes in easy in life. You do have to try very hard. If you're dedicated to this profession, then you will do whatever it takes, and you won't let a no or several no's stop you, and you will continue going. So that's what I did. I eventually, I should say this, I came in with the mindset of I have to work for a Bay Street firm, because that's where the glitz and glam is. That's what I always envisioned. And I applied to those firms, and I came fairly close, but I ultimately got an articling position with a sole practitioner, and the experience that I got there was invaluable, because I got to basically learn how it is to run a practice from A to Z. I learned from the most basic thing to even meeting with clients. I got to see a file from A to Z. I don't know that you would have the same experience at a larger firm. I think that things are broken up a lot more and delegated to various teams. And that works for them. That's how they become efficient. That's how they operate such a large scale firm. But if you are looking to go out on your own one day, then it's really important that you learn everything that goes into running a practice, from the legal side to the business side. And so because I got that experience, I was able to open my own practice after I got called to the bar.
So you opened your own practice right after you got called to the bar, which I find is fascinating. That's really, really cool. I mean, usually a lot of the lawyers that come on here, they're first like associates, and then they sort of work their way up. And then once they're kind of comfortable within their legal career, they'll branch out and maybe open their own firm or become partners. But you decided to open up your firm right off the bat, which I guess I find it super, super fascinating. And you're right. I do believe that there are a lot of firms who are opening their doors to international students, international people who, learn law in the UK, which is good, because it is something that I've always considered. I don't like the LSAT whatsoever, and I think it's completely pointless. But yeah, it's good to know that, it can work, because there's a whole bunch of misconceptions out there that say, no, you should prioritize Canadian law schools. You're not going to get anywhere if you go to a law school in the UK. So it's good to know that that's not true. So just a little bit about your career now. It says that your practice is focused on commercial and residential real estate transactions, as well as corporate mergers and acquisitions. So can you maybe explain what exactly that entails in a nutshell?
I mean, it's a lot. I guess I could sum it up to say any type of transactional work we handle. So that would mean the acquisition or purchasing real property, so real estate, whether it be residential or commercial. And I mean, at least in Canada, you do need to have a lawyer to complete your transaction. And so that's beneficial to us and also super important for clients who are purchasing. It's super important to have a lawyer along your side for such a significant transaction. Whereas in the US, I believe that you don't need to have a lawyer and title insurance companies or whatnot to take care of it. So there's a benefit for us, and there's a market for us here to practice in that area of law. So that's what I mean by transactional. If we're talking corporate sphere is very vast, and so there's a lot to be done there. Whether it be incorporating companies or setting up partnerships, to organizing the companies, to writing shareholder agreements, partnership agreements, to reviewing contracts, to drafting contracts, to dealing with leases, commercial leases. And so, and then when things go sour, there might be disputes to be negotiated and resolved. So there's a huge variety of work to be done. And then there's also, when we spoke about transactional work, there's also purchase and sale of businesses. So you have asset sales or purchases of shares, and we partake in those types of transactions where typically you may not have a lawyer, a real estate agent to broker the deal, and a lawyer would be doing most of the drafting and negotiating and completing the transaction. So that's the scope of our corporate work. We deal with a lot of small to medium-sized businesses, mostly in the community, and a lot of new businesses that start up here. I've assisted them, and I'm proud to see them flourish and visit their businesses and also support them in return. So it's very gratifying in that sense. My practice areas are targeted to be complementary to one another, especially to newcomers who are coming to Canada and they want to start up a new life. So that will include purchasing a property for it to be their home or their family home, and then to maybe start a business, to then plan for their families and write their wills and plan for their estates, to helping them resolve any disputes that they might find themselves engaged in. So I think it comes full circle for the needs of individuals in our society. So I don't practice family or criminal or immigration, but for those things, it's super important to have a good network of other lawyers so that you can always refer your clients to people that you trust and are also good in their fields. I'm surely not an expert in every area of law, but I do try to keep my practices complementary so that I can assist clients with a broad range of advice.
I was gonna say your field seems very, very diverse. And I usually ask lawyers what's their favorite thing about, working in their particular field, but I think you've answered it quite well, is that it is very gratifying. And I think you're really able to give back to your community. And obviously you look after the newcomers that come to Canada as well. But if there is anything, what would be something that might be really challenging about the field that you work in, or something that you might not like?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question. Every job has its challenges, so If anyone tells you that they don't, then that's not the truth. um, and in order to be successful, you will have ups and downs. And so, like with law, there is a lot of pressure, and you have to be able to handle it and manage it without taking it personal. And so, there are times where it's hard to do that because I really care about my job. I really care about my clients. And so when they're having a serious situation, it reflects onto me, and I really try to make sure that it's dealt with properly and with good results. But sometimes you will have lows, like you're not always going to have a win. And that's okay, and that's part of the learning process, and that's part of life. But I will tell you, the highs are really high, and they're really amazing. So that's what kind of keeps me going is the gratification of in those moments.
For sure. And that's super important. And yeah, a lot of lawyers do come on here because, they share a connection with their clients, and that kind of makes them perfectionists in the sense that they want to do the best and they want to win these cases. But obviously life isn't like that, and every job is not like that. But it's good that you have these gratifying moments that keep you going and remind you about why you do, what you're doing. This question can be hard, maybe another hard question because of how diverse your field is and, the wide variety of work that you take on. But what is just kind of like a typical day in your career like in terms of responsibilities and tasks? And this answer could also maybe include, things that you might do at home or in your free time in order to kind of balance the workload with just personal life.
I don't know about balance, but I think that's something
I know.
I'll strive for. um, Listen, I come in for the last. I mean, only now I'm kind of able to relax my practice in a little way because I've started my own family, and my family is growing. So I do have to force myself to refocus my priorities. But leading up to now, I was the first to come in to my office and the last to leave. I would put in 8 to 12 hours a day for the last 10 years. And I did so because everything I worked for was ultimately mine. So, the losses were mine, the wins were mine. Any effort I put in was mine. And so I had to do that. So I would come in and do everything from answer the phone to, any kind of administrative work. And that's what I mean. When you are looking for your articling position or whatever experience you're looking for, don't ever think that answering a phone, taking messages, doing filing, doing day-to-day administrative tasks are meaningless or not important, because they are. Because ultimately, when I opened up my own practice, I had to do those things. I was by myself at first. I didn't have the luxury of hiring staff right away. So you have to know how to do those things and also be able to do to cater to your clients' needs and deal with the matters at hand. But yeah, so checking emails, answering phone calls, those are sort of all hours of the day. I do try to clock out after 6 o'clock now and try to have that family time. But my typical day, because of the diversity of my practice, ranges. So I'll deal with real estate to corporate to wills all in one day. It does sort of cycle like that for me. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it goes every day. So we come in ready to answer our clients, address our clients. That's the first and foremost priority, and then try to catch up on the other stuff that we have to do.
For sure. Yeah, I think, I mean, with every lawyer I talk to, they said that every day is something new and something that you don't kind of expect. And it is someone who owns their own firm. It's super hard to, balance all the workload with personal life. You do, or at least try. So I think we're going to come to the next two questions, and they kind of overlap in a way. But if you can go back in time before you went to law school and you were able to talk to your younger self, what would you tell that person? Or what advice would you give them?
Enjoy school as much as possible. Seriously, enjoy your time being in school. I reminisce about walking through campus and going to my classes, being in the library, studying, learning all of that information. It's something you can't have back, because once you get into the workforce, it's go, go, go. So take the time to enjoy your academics and your experience, make it the most worthwhile. So if that means going abroad to do a year or semester or whatever, do that, because with that also comes the opportunity to travel or maybe learn a new language or something. Things that you want to do them now, because it's hard. Like once you get into work and just life and responsibilities start to build up, you won't be able to have those adventures anymore, or not as much anyways.
For sure. I think we often take that for granted too. I mean, even I'm guilty of saying, oh my gosh, I hate this. Like, I can't wait to graduate, especially because I'm in my 4th year. So it's coming so quick. And I'm like, I can't wait. I'm so done with this. But I guess I do have to remind myself to kind of stop and smell the flowers a little bit and really like take it all in before it all goes away. And then
talk to yourself, Kristen. Tell yourself
life
enjoy this
actually happens. I know, I definitely should contemplate on that. And then the last one, like I said, I guess it kind of overlaps because that it is advice that you can give to us as well. But I know that many of us are heading in the direction of becoming lawyers. And I know this can be a very exciting thing, but it could also be very like daunting and worrisome, stressful. So what is one piece of advice that you can give us, the next generation of aspiring legal professionals who might possibly want to follow in your footsteps?
Okay. I do have a couple important pieces, but they may be more geared towards after law school. So just going into law school, choose a school that is going to give you like where you want to be, and you will have a good experience. And enjoy law school. It's not really going to teach you exactly what you're going to practice, or you don't have to know exactly what area you want to practice in. Take in the information, see where your strengths are, enjoy the learning experience. But after law school, I would strongly recommend that you plan your timeline, because there are certain steps that you have to complete before you would be called to the bar. So for example, I have to go based on my experience because I didn't have the Canadian experience, but for those of you that do want to go abroad, it's really important that you plan, okay, how long is it going to take for me to write my NCA? How many exams NCAs do I have to write? What are the dates for those sittings? If I fail one, when can I take it again? Because during my time, they were like 3 to 4 months apart. And then getting the certification itself was going to take another 3 months. So I wasn't able to move to the next step, which was the articling or writing the bar exam, until I had completed that step. you miss a timeline for a certain application or signing up for a certain exam, then you maybe step back a few months. And for someone who's eager, which most of us would probably inherently are to start our careers, that might be kind of frustrating for you. So have a good 1-year plan at least, or couple of year plan, depending on how you want to stretch things out. Again, the LSAT, the bar exams have certain sittings throughout the year. You can't always write it whenever you want. And then what options do you have for articling? I think there's a lot more options these days, or they might even be abolishing the articling. Potentially, by the time you all get there, you might not even have to do it. But if that's the case, you should definitely get as much experience as possible, because one thing I'll mention is, yes, I started my own practice 5 days after the bar, but call to the bar, but I had the privilege of having a mentor by my side who I could turn to, ask for advice, who was able to help me learn the things that I didn't know yet. So very important to go have a mentor and mentorship throughout your entire practice. Even still, I need someone to turn to. We all do. And so with that, I'll note that I'm always open if anyone needs to speak further or is looking for an opportunity. My firm does always hire students because I think it's important. I was mentored and I like to pass on that mentorship opportunity to other students. So I do hire for summers, I hire articling students, I hire first year, associate volunteers, you know what I mean? So my door is open for those who are driven and really committed to the profession. And I'm sure there are other lawyers that would agree with my principles and should offer students the same. So please do look out for those experiences and get as much as possible before getting into the practice.
For sure, experience is so important. And I think making connections and networking is so important too, because that's how you find the mentors and the people that can give you advice and can guide you into getting into your career. So I think that's super important, and thank you so much for opening your doors. But I think that is it journey into the legal field. It was all super insightful, and Pre-Law Shadowers is very grateful that you can give up some of your time out of your probably very busy schedule to be here. So yeah, thank you to everyone who's watching, and I hope you enjoyed the session as much as I enjoyed hosting it. Thank you so much, Sahar, and good luck with all of the future endeavors.
Good luck to all of you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.